If you're thinking about quitting Jiu Jitsu because of age, injury, or pain, then I want you to hear this before you make that decision. Now, there's this idea that a lot of people have that if you're really tough, really dedicated, or if you make martial arts your career, then you never really think about quitting. That you're somehow above it all or immune to it. And I wish that were true, but I can tell you from experience that it's not. In fact, sometimes it's the people who seem the most dedicated who are fighting the hardest battles just to keep showing up. Now, I run a gym, I coach classes, I do one-to-one private tuition for a living, and I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a couple of decades. And from the outside, you might think that that makes it easy for me to keep going, that the mat is just another day at the office for me. But the truth is, there are days, even now, when quitting crosses my mind, and some days it's just a passing thought, but other times it settles in and it feels almost impossible to shake off. And people talk about resilience and grit like they're just choices, as if you can just flip a switch and turn off the pain or the self-doubt and the exhaustion. But the reality is it's much messier. There are mornings where my body is in so much pain that simply getting out of bed feels like a major achievement. I've also got an autoimmune disorder. That means my joints are often inflamed, my wrists and my fingers swell. Sometimes I can't even hold a cup or a heavy pan. And on really bad days, showering is a major struggle. I have to just brace myself to bend down to pick something up. And then there's the injury that changed everything for me, herniating 2 discs in my neck. If you've never experienced that kind of pain, nerve pain like that, then I hope that you never do. But it wasn't just the injury itself, but the shadow that cast over everything. I remember thinking at the time, this could be the last time I ever stepped foot on the mat. And I don't mind saying that really scared me. So much of my identity, my day-to-day life and my sense of purpose is tied up in martial arts and jiu-jitsu. And for a while, I honestly thought that it was all over. But here's the thing about reaching those really dark places. Sometimes they force you to look at yourself in a different way. Now, when I was younger, I trained hard because I wanted to be tough. I wanted to win. I wanted to be respected. I'd push through pain, ignore warning signs, and grind my way through every single session, thinking that was what strength looked like. But getting older and getting hurt changes your perspective. Now, I don't roll the way I did in my 30s. I can, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. My game has changed out of necessity, but also out of a deeper understanding of what really matters. I no longer care about getting tapped. I no longer compare myself to the young fellas at the gym who can train day in, day out, recover overnight and bounce back from injuries like they never happened. I just can't, I've stopped trying to measure myself against other people's standards and started asking myself what really happened, what really matters and makes me happy on the mat. There's something really liberating and freeing about letting go of all that ego in jiu-jitsu. And I wish someone had told me sooner that it doesn't have to be as hard as you make it. You are in control of how you train, who you train with, and what you wish to focus on. You don't have to prove anything to anyone, not your teammates, not your coach, not the people watching from the sidelines. In fact, the people who you think are watching and judging are probably too wrapped up in their own struggles to even notice what you're doing. The truth is, every day is still hard. Some days are incredibly hard. There are mornings when I just want to stay at home, pull the covers over my head and just forget about training completely. Not because I'm lazy and not because I want to give up, but because my body feels like it's fighting every step of the way. There are times when just standing up or walking across the room hurts more than I can describe. And the only time I feel even a little bit better is when I'm moving, when I'm doing something, anything just to keep my body and mind from seizing up. And I've had to learn to listen to my body in a way that I never did when I was younger. Some days movement is slow and gentle, and other days I can push a little bit further and a little bit harder. But no matter what, I make it a point to do something. If I let myself stop, if I let myself give in to the pain or the fatigue, I know from experience that things will only get worse. Movement is medicine. It doesn't always cure the pain, but it keeps me from falling apart completely. Now, some people might say it's easier for you because you have to train for your livelihood or run a gym or coaching or whatever you do. People rely on you. And it's true that there's a kind of external pressure that keeps me going, because if I don't show up, then maybe other people suffer. But the deeper truth is, I don't even think I could walk away, even if I wanted to. Even if the gym vanished tomorrow, I know I'd find a way to train, to move, and to be a part of the community. Jiu Jitsu is just my therapy, my creative outlet, and my way of staying connected to life when everything else feels really out of control. Now, for those of you who train purely for yourself, who don't have that extra layer of accountability, my message to you is really clear. I truly believe that continuing to train, even when it's hard, will be one of the best things that you ever do for yourself. Not just for your physical health, though that's important, but for your mental well-being and your ability to stay sharp and confident as you get older. The mats teach you resilience, patience, humility, and the ability to handle whatever life throws at you. They teach you how to be present, how to let go of things you can't control, and how to keep moving forward even when everything in your body hurts. Now, you don't have to train like a professional athlete to get these benefits. In fact, most people, especially as you get older, for them, training smarter is far more important than training harder. I used to think I had to roll hard every session, push myself to the limit and prove something every time I stepped on the mat. And now I know better. Drilling is just as valuable as sparring, sometimes even more so. Flow rolling, technical work, taking a round off to let your body recover, these are all tools that will help you stay on the mats for the long haul. And let's be honest, comparison is a trap that will rob you of the joy that brought you to Jiu Jitsu in the first place. Most of us start Jiu Jitsu because we love a challenge, the community, and the process of learning. But somewhere along the way, it's easy to lose sight of that and get caught up in belt chasing, worrying about who tapped who, competitions, feeling inadequate compared to others. But the truth is, the only person you should be measuring yourself against is the version of you who might have given up. It's important to remember that everyone's journey is different. We all have our own battles, our own setbacks, and our own reasons for stepping on the mat. And I've seen people come back from devastating injuries. I've seen older athletes thrive when they stop trying to keep up with the younger people. And I've seen beginners who thought that they'd never make progress suddenly break through and find their groove. What separates the people who succeed from those who don't isn't talent or youth or natural athleticism. It's the willingness to keep going, to keep showing up, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it. Now, if you're struggling right now, please know that you're not alone. There are days when I seriously consider whether it's all worth it, but then I remind myself of why I started in the first place. I remember the sense of accomplishment that comes from pushing through a tough session, the satisfaction of helping someone else learn something new, and the simple joy of moving my body, even if it's just a little bit. Some days you'll need to adjust your expectations. You might need to sit out around, train with someone who you trust, who won't hurt you, or spend time just drilling, not sparring. That's not weakness, that's just wisdom. Now, the older I get, the more I realize that the bravest thing you can do is listen to your body and give yourself permission to train in a way that works for you. And for those of you who feel like you've got nothing left to give, I want to tell you that the hardest battles often lead to the most meaningful victories. The moments when you feel like quitting are the very moments that define you, not as a fighter, but as a person. It's not about how many medals you win or how high you climb in the ranks. It's about your ability to keep moving forward, to keep learning, to keep staying connected to something that's much bigger than yourself. Now, if you watched this video so far, I want to challenge you. I want you to think about why you started training in the first place. What did you hope to get out of it? And what has it given you that you never expected? Take a moment to reflect on all the obstacles that you've already overcome and all the times that you showed up when it would have been easier to stay at home. And that's resilience, that's courage, and that's what will carry you through all of the hard times that are ahead of you. Now, if any of this resonates with you, I'd love to hear your story. What's the biggest challenge that you've faced in your journey? What keeps you coming back even when it hurts? So let's start a conversation in the comments below and support each other, because the truth is none of us are in this alone. Don't let pain, age, self-doubt, or any of those other things steal the joy from your training. Don't quit. Show up in whatever way you can. Just move, breathe, and remind yourself that you're worth the effort every day. And if I can keep going, then you can too. And together we can prove that it's never too late to fight for your health, your happiness, and your future in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.